evening and welcome to Diversity in the Community. I am so pleased and excited to have with me today Rory T. Edwards, and
That's
I noticed
right.
that you got the T with a big old, that must be special or
That's
something.
the emphasis. I put
That's
the emphasis
on the T. I'm so proud to have him here with me today. He is a motivational speaker, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Oh, wow.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be back in Connecticut. I'm originally from New Britain, so I'm here. I came back this week to do a few events, speaking events, a few for Black History, doing some more. But like I was saying, right now, I live in California, Las Vegas area. Love the weather out there, so it's kind of different coming back to Connecticut.
So you don't miss?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. Definitely don't miss it. But it's always good to come back to where you grew up and to share with what you're doing. With individuals who are trying to grow and who are trying to do some of the things that you're doing. So that's a good thing to be back. So I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with the community what I'm doing.
Well, I looked you up on the internet, and
I
I saw pictures of you speaking to a lot of young people.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, from what I was reading, that you have a heart for the youth. So, could you tell me a little bit about the programs that you have out there to help the young people?
Well, probably one of the programs that I'm probably most known for is I used to be president of the NAACP in New Britain. Had an academy that I did for especially young men of color from grades 4 through 8, and tried to emphasize the importance of education. So I said it's nothing wrong with there's a difference between being educated and having an education. Because I said my grandmother was the smartest person I ever met in my life, but she only had a 3rd grade education.
Yeah,
but she was very educated, very savvy, very business savvy. And so I was trying to emphasize to them is as they move forward in their life, they need to have a foundation, a strong foundation based in education. So that's one of the programs that I've done. I've developed programs in Africa. I've developed programs in every country probably who is part of this triangle, this Maya, that what we're trying to do is find out, especially men of color, African-American men, where they lost their thirst for excellence. And so we went to Africa in 2004, 2005 for 2 months and worked with the University of Ghana over there in Legon.
Wow. And
worked with some other organizations coming back towards the shores of America to find out how we can instill this greatness, this thought of greatness in our young men of color from one shore to the next shore. Yes. And so I've done, those type of programs. I've done a lot of programs in schools. I've done programs in juvenile detention centers, anywhere that we think there were young men who needed some guidance and direction. And that's what I've been doing probably the last 25 years.
Oh, my God bless you.
Thank you.
We need more people out there, like you.
Well, thank you.
I was reading your book.
Okay.
Well, reading the title.
Right.
Because, so you want to be a professional athlete.
Right.
So what inspired you to come up with this book, with this title?
Wow. The title was very simple. Like I just said, probably over the last 25 years, everywhere I've gone to speak to young men of color, you ask them, the proverbial question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And all of them say, I want to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And so in most cases, what the person who was in charge of the room or the program would stop and say, listen, you all can't be professional athletes. Think about doing something else. Right. And so then I reverse the question and say, well, what else do we show them about what they can be? That's what they see. They see athletes, they see entertainers, or they see somebody who is making a fast dollar. Or they put out movies about being gangsters, or they put out movies about winning the lotto, or they put out movies about selling drugs. All the things that, could move somebody's level up, but it also could move their level down. In most cases, it does. And so this title was more or less for me used as a Trojan horse. Because if I put out what the foundation of this book is about, becoming a professional person, and I wrote, so you want to be a professional person, I wouldn't get too many people to buy it because everybody would think, well, you know, and I don't want to be a professional person. But with this, all I got to do is say, I know how to make you a professional athlete, and I'll have droves of people running in to try to find out what the remedy is. And the remedy is something I don't have and nobody has. I tell people if I could make you a professional athlete, I'd be the richest person in the world, but also the loneliest person in the world. Because as soon as I touch my girlfriend, she would leave me and become a professional athlete, and so I'd be by myself, just making athletes with a whole lot of money. And so the motivation was to give individuals, parents, like I said, it's a guide for raising, being, and coaching the world's next superstar. So anybody who's in the life development of children, of people, of just people in general, can take the 10 principles in this book and advance someone to the pinnacle of their life, not just in sports, though, but in life. And that's the whole premise of the book, is to promote professional life.
Because I know with my son, he wanted to be a basketball player. And he was good. He played in college, but then he tore his ACL.
See, yes.
So he played in college, and then he thought his life was just over. But he had so much other potential. I mean, he could do so many other things, but all he wanted to do was play ball. And when he couldn't go any further, it was just like he just thought, But now he's doing fine. He's a counselor. He counsels young men in the prison system. He helps them to get back on their feet, get back out into society. And he's helped so many people. But if he had gone on, and if he was, I don't know if he would end up being able to reach kids like he does now, because if he was, when they become the professionals, I don't know if they are able to get down to that level so they can touch kids' lives, like he would be able to do right now.
That's right. And I mean, that's our sort of our charge. My charge is to sell or put 1 million books in 1 million homes so we can prevent 1 million disappointments. Because when people say, well, how do you come up with the number 1 million disappointments? Well, if one individual doesn't make it, he's not just disappointed. He has a group of individuals who are around him who are banking on him making it, who are also disappointed. So you may have a mother, a father, siblings, you may have uncles, aunts, babies' mothers, people who were banking on you making this money so that their life can become better. And so one person may affect 100 people. And so if we just say 100,000 who don't make it each year, that's 1 million people that are affected and disappointed because this individual didn't make it. And the thing is that in the book I explain the numbers. The numbers are so very small for those who will make it and those who won't make it. Or those who have the potential to make it. And so many people don't look at those. They just think, well, I'm good. Well, in America, there's 50 states. And everybody in that state is good. And their state is good. And then now with sports, you have people from over different countries who are now migrating over to America because of the money. And they're good also. And so the pool becomes a lot smaller for people to want to make it into the professional ranks.
You're right about the disappointments, and it puts a lot of pressure on the young people, because I know when my son was playing, they like the cousins and the aunts and I know if nobody else don't make it, you're gonna make it. So when they don't make it, they feel like they're disappointing everybody.
That's right.
So
and nobody's probably praising him for the work that he's doing. Those same people who said he wasn't gonna make it, if anybody gonna make it, he's gonna make it. They're not calling now saying, well, you know what, baby, you didn't make it. But you're making a difference in somebody else's life. Because the only reason they were hoping he made it is because financially he could have taken care of them. Or they thought he could. And the only person who supported him is you. Probably. Not saying you.
That's my baby.
That's your baby. So I know you support him. Yeah, you know
my 6'4" baby. I have a few questions here I'd like to ask. Do you think athletics is for everyone?
I think athletics is for everyone who wants to learn the game of life. So I would include my children in athletics for them to learn how to win, how to lose, how to take direction, how to get some guidance, how to understand protocol, how to understand preparation for life. All of those things in sports prepare people for life. So I think it could be for everyone to a certain degree, but I think that as a parent who is in charge of the development of their child, that if you don't see the child enjoying sports, then you need to pull them out. You know, because a lot of times parents, and that's the first chapter, you got to be truthful with your child or yourself about their true athletic ability. Because in most cases, parents are, you know, living vicariously through their child.
Yes.
And they're saying, I didn't make it, so, you know, my son or my daughter's going to do this for me. And your son and daughter, it may not be in their DNA. They may be, you know, they may be a scientist. They may be a, you know, a preacher or something. I don't know. They may be a great orator.
Right.
So we are trying to push our children through sports because sports is the biggest draw of anything in this country, in this world probably.
Biggest money maker.
Oh, it's a money maker. Yes, it is. But it's also a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it is.
It breaks more hearts than it makes more millionaires.
Yep.
I guarantee you, everybody doesn't realize that. There's a lot of people walking around here now with broken hearts because they didn't make it, and everybody told them they were going to make it.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think to a degree, the lessons that you learn in sports could be transferable skills into life for everybody. Yes.
Are parents the best judge of their child's talent, and do they help them when they attend games more or less? I can almost answer some of that.
That's right. See, you know, I think parents, and even parents who played, you know, sometimes parents say, well, I played, you know, but you played in different times. It's different. If you're a parent, you played in a different era. Things have changed now. Conditions have changed. The equipment has changed. The speed, the height, the strength, all of that stuff is different now based on children growing up. And parents are emotional. You know, it's their child.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you let emotions get into it, you're not the best judge. You know, everybody wants their child to be the star. But if you haven't prepared your child to be the star, it's very difficult for your child to understand that you just love them versus you are wanting them to be able to be the best. Because some people, you know, is God-given talent. So some people's talent is more forward thinking or forward moving than someone else's talent maybe at a certain time in their life. I remember, you know, little guys that could beat me in a race. You know, we were small. And then as I got older, they couldn't even touch me in a race because, you know, my talent that was supposed to happen at the particular time blossomed at that time. Excuse me. So I think sometimes parents get clouded by the emotions versus the true talent of their child. And that's why in the book, when I'm talking the first chapter, I talk about a story of a mother who I used to coach church league basketball. Had a phenomenal team. I never lost a game in like 6 years. And I remember a mother who wanted her son to play because she said he makes some miraculous shots in the driveway. Well, it's a lot different when you get on the court. You have somebody defending you. You have referees. You have 4 other players who want the ball just as much as you. Right. And she says, well, his father played in the NBA. Okay, well, he may have that athletic trait, DNA trait, but he may not be prepared. Right. And so it was very difficult for her to understand why he wasn't hitting those same shots in the gym, because the fundamentals of him getting to that shot, he hadn't worked on. So he didn't really know how to dribble. He didn't know how to go set himself up for his shot, because in the driveway, he set himself up for his own shot. Right. And nobody was defending him. Right. Or nobody was running at him, or nobody was in the stands looking at him screaming, or he never heard her screaming like, come on, baby, you can do it. And so I think that sometimes parents can be your greatest adversary, or they can be your worst. Oh, yeah. And, you know, even when I'm working with colleges, a lot of times parents don't realize when college recruiters come to games, they're not just looking at the player, they're looking at the family. The parents, yeah. Yes, because they're saying, if I have to deal with that another 4 years with her or him, there's no way in the world I want that. So your son or daughter could be very good, but if you don't know how to control yourself and be a parent, then colleges and even high schools, if your child is getting recruited to go to a private elite high school, they're probably not going to deal with you.
Oh yeah, when my son was playing basketball, we go to almost every single game. And some of the things we saw with parents arguing with the referees, and then parents getting mad with their sons and saying, you in front of everybody, you guys play like a bunch of punks, and you know, and then it would kind of like break your heart, because why don't you just say, okay, you do better? I mean, I know you got to toughen them up. You can't baby them. And, you know, you got to tell them the truth. But some are just outrageous. I actually saw one time, the son messed up, and the father walked up and he punched that boy right in his back. Wow. Yeah. Wow. And like in front of his teammates, so it's like, it just gets a little out of hand. It does. And then when these kids get older, they remember things the parents said, things the parents did, tell them you ain't gonna never be good at anything, that type of stuff. They remember it when they get older. Oh yeah. So you let a game, you know, mess up the relationship between you and your child. Right. I tell people all the time that your words have a boomerang effect. Yeah. Every word that you throw is coming back, some form or fashion. So you may say that you played like a bunch of whatever, and that word may come back to affect another child in your household that may turn that way now. And you're wondering, well, how did that happen? You put those words out in the spirit. And when you put those words out into the atmosphere, into the spirit, the spirit does with them what your intentions were. So people don't understand that. That's a much deeper thought, another show, you know, but it's a whole other show on that one. You're speaking my language. But that's the stuff you talk about. People don't understand that. So yeah. Okay, my next question here is, who was this book actually written for? You probably hit on some of it already, but anybody who works with people. I have CEOs of company. I have a very good friend. She runs OIC in New Britain. And she says that she utilizes this book now to evaluate herself, and she's been running the company for like 31 years. Really? So the exercises, some activities in here that you just evaluate your own personal self at this particular time. So again, it's not really, all the stories in here are athletically driven. Most of the stories are about my life, not really per se just me. I talk about, like I said, my son who was a tremendous athlete. I talk about me as a father, me as a coach, me as an athlete, me as an educator, me as a community activist, me as, you know, everything in my life, me as a mentor. I have a chapter in here. The last chapter is from a young man, probably my first individual who I worked with and took a lot of time with, and he wrote, you know, sort of a reverse forward about what I did for his life. Now this young man is an exceptional father. He's a senior pastor of a church in Chicago, one of the biggest churches in Chicago. Wow. And he says, you know, a lot of what I gave him in just our interaction as coach and athlete, he said I gave him more than that. I gave him life skills. And so this is what this book does. It gives people a blueprint on how, if you want to be a professional athlete, please go for it. But understand the work it's going to take to become a professional athlete. And then it also, the main thing is favor. Because, you know, your plan is already made out for you. I truly believe that the Creator puts a plan in place for everybody who's brought into this earth. And so if you're going to be a professional athlete, understand that you have to eliminate some certain things, and you have to stay away from certain things, and you have to stay on a certain path. If you're going to be a professional boxer, you have to be that. You can't be a professional boxer and a professional rapper. It just don't work. Some doesn't work. You know, you can't be a professional athlete. You see these guys right now, they're professional athletes, but they all want to be something else. You've been blessed to be a professional athlete. Be that as long as you possibly can, because the window of opportunity is very short. And set yourself up for this life transformation for the rest of your life. You know, the numbers are staggering. 78% who end up professional athletes end up bankrupt and broke and homeless and divorced
3 years after they're out of the league.
Right.
And that's ridiculous to work that hard for your entire life and to throw it all away in your mid-20s.
Right.
So you're not doing this in your 50s. You're doing this in your 20s still. And then you probably have 40, 50 more years of life left.
Right.
And what do you do?
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
So this is written for anyone who is developing people. You know, for this could be taken to the pulpit, and this could be one of the chapters. You could pull one of these chapters out and read the story, and have a sermon off of it.
So now this book can help me. I'm an executive administrative person. This book can help me.
It sure can help you with working with the people who you work with, or the people you supervise, or even how you engage with your supervisor. Because, you know, I tell people here to assess themselves. Let me see, the first activity I have in here about, you know, assessing your child's ability. I have it says truthfully rate your child's ability in these areas. One is talent, and you see I have these mature eyes. Athleticism.
Say, you need to borrow these.
I know. And it's so talent and athleticism, and I say you rate it in strengths of ability 1 through 5, and then the weaknesses 1 through 5. And then I say your commitment and your strengths 1 through 5, and your weaknesses in this activity 1 through 5. And then I say your work ethic 1 through 5, 1 through 5. And then it has confidence and leadership, and then it has ability to learn and improve. And is it your dream or their dream? Right. And you rate it 1 through 5, and then what you do is you total up the scores. And right there you know exactly if your plan A, if you are on the right path to have that particular transformation in your child's life. Are you really going to help your child, or is your child really athletically gifted? And they have to be truthful. That's the thing. Most people don't want to address the truth.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
You know, if your child's, you know, this tall and you're short and your husband's short, and it's probably likely that that child's not going to be tall.
Right.
It's a good. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for the Creator, but there have been parents, you know, children of shorter parents who have become tall, but the odds are very slim.
Right.
So, but if those odds don't end up in your favor, very few people, you know, there's been a few who made it in the NBA who were below 6 feet, but 6 feet ever since the NBA has started has probably been the average.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What's the next? What's next for this book?
What's next for this book?
Or you?
Yeah. Well, this is me. This is the book is me, and I'm the book.
Okay.
So, what we have is I have a very strong and educated curriculum developer who's putting a workbook together for this book. So many people said, "Oh my God, I wish I could, you know, transfer this into my classroom and all that." So what we're doing is we're putting together a workbook that will actually assist us in you working with these particular activities in the book. And so what we're going to do is with that, we can now go to schools and say, you can use this workbook in either your writing class, because there's going to be writing exercises in there. There's going to be mathematical exercises in there to talk about the numbers that the individuals have to go through. What do your mathematical numbers look like? And we're also going to have some literacy in there's different stories of athletes, you know, little stories of current athletes, or how do you write your own story? You know, just have you write, what does your story look like? And then how do you put action into this plan to make sure you stay course? You know, people always say, how do you do you want to do a vision board? We're going to have children develop vision boards, you know, whatever you want to be.
Wow.
And then we're putting out a campaign where we're going to talk about, so you want to be a professional, and we're going to put making T-shirts. They're going to have a line on it, and you write in what you want to be as far as a professional whatever. And we're going to try and find those individuals who have done it so that they can mentor and walk you through that early on in your life.
Wow.
So we have some, you know, I said when I wrote this book, I said the Creator was the person who helped me with this, because even if I look at it, I'm like, wow, Rory, you wrote this? Not saying that I'm not intelligent, but I looked at it and I was like, wow. And everybody I've given it to says, these things, when I read it, I can see me in there. I can see somebody I know very closely in there.
Now, where can people find this book?
Well, right now I'm selling them on my website.
Okay.
You can go to Amazon, but Amazon is such a difficult process to go through for people and me, because then I have to order the book and send it to Amazon, and then Amazon tells me to send a certain copy. But you can go to my website, which is www.rorytedwards.com.
Okay.
So everything about me is my name, Rory T. Edwards.
Rory T.
Rory T. That T is important. That's the separates me from the normal.
You know why it stood out to me? Because that's my nickname. Everybody calls me T.
Do they? Okay. Yeah. So see, them T's.
You know that T just stood out.
So that's where they can go to my website, rorytedwards.com, and it is a section on it that tells you purchase the book. Okay.
And so this evening you're going to, is it this evening you're going to Central?
No, Thursday day, all day we're having a Pan-African conference at Central Connecticut State University.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And so what is that going to entail?
For me? Or
for you. And I mean, what is the whole thing about?
It's for us, it's like a Black Lives Matter sort of symposium.
Okay.
And we have like 6 professors, some of the top, I said some of the greatest minds on the planet on that. So I guess I'm considering myself one of the greatest minds.
Okay. All right.
But what I'm doing for Minds is I'm doing a segment on, I call it Life. I call Living in Fear of Excellence. And so what I'm going to be talking about, do Black lives really matter? I mean, who do they matter to? Because, to be honest, we've been the longest reigning occupants of this country, and we are still at the bottom. And so we can't blame it all on the system. Yeah, right. We have to take responsibility ourselves for our outcomes. So I'm going to ask questions to the audience to have them think about, what do you mean, do Black lives matter? Because we've been through so many movements. I've been through 3 in my lifetime. So, and show me the advancements versus the setbacks.
Right.
I said, Black lives matter to me because every morning I wake up, I'm Black. And every day I look in the mirror, I'm Black. And when I die on this earth, I'm going to be Black.
Right.
So until my life no longer matters to me, Black lives do matter.
Right.
But if we don't all look at it the same way like that, then we can't sit around and say, I want to start something because Black lives matter, if we're not addressing the things that are detrimental to Black life.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm going to be doing at Central on the 3rd.
All right.
Yes,
wonderful.
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful. Now, before we go off, I wondered if you wanted to say anything special to the youth out there or the parents out there. I think they told us to look in that camera there. If you want to say anything special to the folks out there before I sign off.
Well, the only thing I would like to say to people is to put a God first. Now, if you know me, 25 years ago, you may have never heard me say this. But what I say, like that song, when I look back over my life, you understand that no matter what, for you to be in a predicament to actually be the best you can be, you have to realize there's a higher power.
Yes.
And so if you don't understand that and you believe that you're going to make it by yourself, then you're only fooling yourself. So I would just say the thing is to be very truthful with yourself. Secondly, first and foremost is, like I said, put God at the foundation of everything you do.
Oh, yes.
And then secondly, be truthful with what your true abilities are. Because He put us all here for a purpose.
Yes.
And if you don't try to find your purpose and serve your purpose, you'll never become purposeful. And so that's what I just want to say to the children. There is an ability for you to be great, but you have to believe that you're great. And there's ability for parents to make their children great, but you have to believe in your children are great, and you have to believe that you have the ability to make them great. And so that's what I would just leave with individuals, because the world is already hard enough. And you don't need to bring the extra stress upon your life. But if you just do things in like I said, the last chapter, do things in perfect balance and order. Right. Then you'll just be fine.
Right. Right.
Yes. Right. So I just want to thank you again for having me.
It's been a treat. I enjoyed talking to you because you have a lot of things that you were saying are things that I believe. Wonderful. And first of all, it's putting God first.
Right, that's right.
Oh, if it wasn't for God, where would I be?
That's right.
So I really appreciate that. It's just been wonderful having you here.
Thank you.
It's not many times when I sit and talk to somebody and feel like I've been knowing them for, for a long time. Right. But I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you.
And I'm going to try to pass the word about this book and about you and all the great things that you're doing. And And I just wish you the very best. I'm not going to say luck. I wish you all the blessings.
Thank you very much.
That God can bring with what you're trying to do and the young people that you're trying to change lives and
right. Thank
all
you.
of that. So thank you very much.